Hello and welcome back to another video. So in this video we're going to study and figure out how to solve IGCSE Biology graphs. Now you will notice that when solving these graph questions you will face certain command words, for example state, explain and so on. Now in order and suggest, right? So on and on. In order to get good marks and understand what exactly they're asking you for example you even have describe and explain, you need to know the differences between them, right? So I have here I have the list of command words and their meanings that you need to know. If you know them, what they're asking for, you will be able to exactly answer what they are asking you. Okay, so let's go through this one by one. First, you have calculate. As the name suggests, you have to do some calculations to find out some numbers. And then compare. When you see compare A from B, compare flower A from flower B, you have to identify the similarities or the differences. Okay, remember that. Define means give the definition of that term. Okay, describe and explain. This is something you will notice a lot. So describe means you have to state the points. Describe the graph, that the graph is going up, it's flat, it's going down. Give characteristics, the main features. There is a dip in the graph. The highest point is 24, for example. You have to give the main features. And explain means you have to give the reasons for that. Purposes or reasons. You have to make the relationships between things clear. That means you have to say why or how this is happening. Okay, describe is what and explain is why, how, the reasons behind it. Determine, you have to establish an answer using the information above. For example, if you have a graph and it says that the highest peak is this, so they will say determine the something related to that point. You have to use the points and connect them to answer that question. Evaluate means you have to judge the importance of something. Give, produce an answer from a given source or recall from memory, like not exactly from. Sometimes you have to answer based on your memory, not from the question. Identify means name, they're asking for the name. Outline, set out the main points they're asking for, or they're looking for the key points. Predict what will happen based on the available information. That means if the information is given and what would happen if this continues or if you follow this. Sketch means they want a drawing, a simple freehand drawing showing the key features. Take care of the proportions. That means if you have a plant and the leaves are very small, you have to make sure when you are drawing this difference is represented in your drawing. State means express in clear terms. Suggest means you apply your knowledge and understanding to situations where there are a range of valid responses in order to provide some proposals, like what would happen if this continues, or suggest for example another alternative, suggest a better solution, something like that. Okay, so now since you have some idea about how to do them, let's answer these questions now. Now this question says that figure 2.1 shows the results. You have this is not the whole question, just the graph question. The time is given on the x-axis, and on the y-axis you have the internal body temperature. As you can see, it fluctuates from 36 to 38 and then 36 to 38. So use the information to calculate the temperature range for the internal body. Calculate, that means that you need to do some calculations and then state the units, write the units as well. Range is the difference between the highest and the smallest value. So this is 38. The smallest value is 36. Don't take this one. Okay, this is going to be some other number because this is not the whole reading, right? If this graph continues, you will notice that this continues. So the range is 38 minus 36. That is 2. What about the units? Degrees Celsius. Now on figure 2.1, draw a line to show the set point for the internal body temperature of the person. So the notice it fluctuates between 38 and 36. So the set point is the center. You're going to draw your line here between 38 and 36. Moving on, the maintenance of the internal body temperature is an example of homeostatic control. State the name of mechanism for homeostatic control. This is called as negative feedback. That means if the temperature increases a lot, your body performs certain actions to reduce the temperature. If the temperature reduces in your body, the body is going to perform certain actions to increase the body temperature. Okay, so this is negative feedback. On figure 2.1, region F shows a change in body temperature. Let's look at that region. The change in body temperature is shown here. Explain how the body causes the change in body temperature shown. So it's increasing from 36 to 38. You have to explain the homeostatic control by the negative feedback to increase the temperature. Okay, so the first step is that your brain is going to detect that the body temperature is lower than it should be, lower than 37. So it's going to instruct the arteries to constrict. When the arteries are constricting, less blood is flowing to the capillaries, and that is going to reduce the loss of heat. Another step that would occur is that there is going to be increased or rapid skeletal muscle contraction, which is basically shivering. Your body is going to shiver to generate heat. That is also going to increase the body temperature. Another process that would occur is that hair would stand up on the ends as the erector muscle contract and trap the air, which acts as an insulator. Okay, the next question is, microplastics are pieces of plastics with diameter less than 0.5 centimeter. So if you have a plastic that's diameter is less than 0.5 centimeter, it is considered a microplastic. Figure 6.1, this figure shows the mass of microplastic in the oceans between 2000 and 2040. The data between 2000 and 2020 is an estimate. The data after 2020 is a prediction. That means before that they estimated that this would be the mass of microplastics, and using that they estimated or they predicted that if this line continues, this is how much the graph is going to extend. Just why the mass of microplastic between 2000 and 2020 in figure 6.1 shown is an estimate. Okay, so they collected the microplastics from the ocean and then they measured the mass of it, right? So since it's the ocean, the sample space is so huge, you obviously can't measure the entire ocean, right? So you measured a small one and then estimated. You measured the amount of microplastic in a small region and then estimated how much would be in the entire ocean, right? So not all microplastics are able to be collected, measured, and weighed, or the area is too large or inaccessible because some microplastics were eaten, right? And some of them were eaten by animals, by sea animals, so they could not be measured and only samples were taken, right? So you can mention any two of these points, I would say. Not all MP collected, as the ocean area is too deep or inaccessible. Let's move on to the next question. Figure 5.1 shows the changes in antibiotic use in livestock production in 7 countries between 2010 and 2016. Okay, so this figure shows what is the change in antibiotic use from 2010, this is 2010, and this is 2016. What is the change in the use in antibiotic in livestock production? Livestock is basically cattle, some animals, in 7 countries. Country A, country B, C, and so on. These are different countries, and the y-axis represents the antibiotic use in milligrams per kg of livestock. That means, for example, if this is 250, that means 1 kilogram of livestock are given 250 milligrams of antibiotics. Okay, so let's say that the question asks you to describe the findings in the graph. Describe what's going on in the graph. How would you do that? So you could say that country A showed the biggest increase in the graph in the antibiotic usage from 2010 to 2016. You can even mention the numbers. That's a good idea. And then 2 countries, country B and country C, did not show any change. Some countries showed a decrease, whereas some countries showed an increase. And you can, it's a very good idea to mention what's the increase, and you can compare which one has the biggest increase. Country A has the biggest increase, and so on and so forth. So that's when you're describing. But the next question is asking you explain the development of antibiotic resistance in bacteria. So that's just a typical theory question. You have to say, why do livestock develop antibiotic resistance? Let's answer that. So basically, when the antibiotic was created in the lab, the bacteria were affected by it, but some bacteria develop some resistance to the mutation, and they are present in the livestock as well. Okay, so the resistant bacteria is not going to be affected by that antibiotic. Antibiotic is only going to kill the non-resistant bacteria. The resistant bacteria is going to survive and reproduce. They're going to increase in number. They're going to pass that resistant allele to the offspring. Over time, this is going to increase the population of resistant bacteria, and this is how you will see the development of antibiotic resistance in bacteria. The answer is given here as well. Next question. A new species is introduced to an ecosystem. That's a completely different question to the previous one. Figure 1.2 shows the change in the population as the species establishes itself in the ecosystem. Population size of the new species. Okay, so initially the population was very less, and then after some time you can see an exponential growth. It increases steadily. It's a good idea to use these terms because I've asked you to describe it, and then you can see that these are fluctuating a little bit. So describe and explain. They're asking you to describe the graph first. That means explain or tell them about the shape of the graph, and then you have to explain that what could be some reasons for this graph at this shape. So that is because initially the population size is small. A new species introduced to a system, they're less in number, but then they do have enough resources to survive and reproduce. So you can see they are increasing exponentially. They will increase in a number a lot until they reaches this point. At this point, you will see that they're around at the same number in general, because now they're competing for food, for resources. There is birth rate and death rate is almost equal. So the answer is that the population increases exponentially. Here it's increasing exponentially and then it plateaus. During exponential growth, birth rate is more than death rate. That's why it is increasing. And there is no competition of resources such as food, water, and shelter. That's why they have plenty of space to grow. When it plateaus in that region, they're talking about graph at X. Okay, so you don't have to mention this region. You don't have to focus on that. Basically, just this region. Okay, it grows and then it plateaus. So basically, birth and death rate are almost equal. The resources are limited now and competition exists. Another factor that could be that new predator or another disease could have spread, and that could have also caused this death rate. So that's why it reaches that, and you can see the answer here. Next, scientists investigated the effect of changes in pH on the activity of two different protease enzymes. So you have two enzyme, protease A, protease B. They're different kinds of enzyme. They're slightly different, but they're both protease, and the scientist is going to investigate what happens on the activity as you're changing the pH. So each enzyme was placed in a hole in the center of a jelly layer in a petri dish. So this is the petri dish, and in that petri dish is filled with a jelly layer made up of protein. Then they made up a hole each enzyme was placed in a hole in the center of jelly layer in the petri dish. Made a hole and placed this with a solution of enzyme L or enzyme M. So these are two different types of protease enzyme. This investigation was carried out on a range of different pH levels. After 60 minutes, the area of the jelly layer that had been broken down by enzyme L or M was recorded at each pH value tested. So for example, at certain pH, this much was broken down. And then with enzyme M, for example, they noticed that all of this region was broken down at a certain pH. So the results are shown here in figure 6.2. This is enzyme L and this is enzyme M. On the x-axis, you have the pH. So you are noticing what is happening to the activity as pH is being increased. And you're also noticing, recording the area of the jelly layer broken down, right? So you're measuring how much of the area was broken down by this enzyme. So using this information, describe the results of this investigation. You don't have to explain, just describe it. So you can see that both of them have different optimum pH. The optimum pH for enzyme L is 2 because that has the highest activity of 160 millimeter square. And enzyme M has the optimum pH of 10 because that has the greatest area broken down at 140 millimeter square. Okay, so I've even written them here. Let's read them first. Notice this is for 5 marks, so you need to have 5 points. But I suggest you must write at least 6 or 7 or 8 or as many as you can, because sometimes you may think that you have already written 2 points, but for them that could be just 1 point. Okay, so write as many as you can. So the general idea is that enzyme activity peaks and falls for both the enzymes. You can see it peaks and then falls, and then here it peaks and then falls again. The next is that enzyme L has a peak at pH 2 of 160 millimeters square, and enzyme M has a peak at pH 10, which is also pH 10, not 11. I wrote 10, so I'm going to change this to 10. pH 10 with an area of 140 millimeters square. L has a higher activity than M at optimum pH. You can see L has a higher activity. It broke down more area of the jelly compared to the enzyme M. And both L and M are active between pH 3 and 5. You can see at pH 3 to 5, M is also active, and so is L. Both of them are active. They are doing some activity. Even though it's little, there is some sort of activity. Notice before pH 3, there is no activity for enzyme M, and for enzyme L, there is no activity after pH 5. So both L and M are active between 3 and 5. M is active for a wider range of pH compared to L. Notice M is active from all the way from 3, and then it stops at 12. So that's much wider range compared to enzyme L, which is only active from 0 to 5. Sorry, 1 to 5. So the range is smaller for the first enzyme. And then finally, L has no activity before pH 3. And you can also mention that L has no activity after pH 5. So you can compare your points from here. If you have any 5 of these points at least, you will get the full mark. And that is all for IGCSE Biology graph questions. If this video does help you, please do give it a like and comment for any further recommendations, or if you have any questions, feel free to ask them. And that's all.